Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gore Reviews. I'm your host, Gore Beast. Today we're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to my heart. Some of you may or may not know that I'm a huge hip-hop fan, always have been. Ever since I heard Beastie Boys' License to Ill album, I was hooked. But we're not talking about rap in general. We're going to talk about a rap subgenre. It got a label probably around the mid-90s, but the seeds for this subgenre, were planted much earlier through other groups who were doing songs that dabbled in this subgenre. And of course, I'm talking about horrorcore rap. Now, for those who don't know, horrorcore, it's kind of self-explanatory, has horror or horrific elements, sometimes supernatural or over-the-top gore, things like that. Sometimes it can be very cartoonish, sometimes it could be very realistic and like very gritty and real life type of horror. But other times it can be, like I said, supernatural with, zombies and vampires and all kinds of creatures and silliness and ridiculously over-the-top gore and things like that. Now, for those who don't know a lot about horrorcore, as I said, seeds of it were planted even far back in the 80s. There were examples of it here and there from artists. A lot of people will say that the Ghetto Boys kind of pioneered and kind of made it more popularized. But again, and at that time, it still didn't have the name horrorcore. It was just hip hop or rap or gangster rap or whatever. And artists such as Gangsta Nip, he was doing the same thing back then. They kind of threw in more horror elements to their normal, gangsta type rap. But then around the mid 90s or so, the term actually came into use, and some of the big groups that were kind of brought it to the forefront as horrorcore, bands like Gravediggers or Flatliners. Gravediggers, of course, is fronted by none other than Wu-Tang's the RZA. With RZA on board, how could it not be an amazing project? And it was. Their first album is a masterpiece of horrorcore, and if you have never heard that album and you're interested in horrorcore, pick that one up, because that's where you need to start. That right there is the epitome of what horrorcore is. Now, Gravediggers, of course, kind of had more of the over-the-top horror, but it was also very socially conscious, very there was a lot of social commentary involved in their music, not so hidden in the actual lyrics and everything. It was right there. You can kind of take it both ways with a lot of their stuff, and that's what worked so well with them. And many other groups followed in their footsteps, and others dabbled in it. Artists such as Eminem, DMX, Bone Thugs and Harmony, groups like that have always dabbled in it here and there. They've had their horrorcore songs, but they're not horrorcore artists. They do horrorcore songs on occasion, and they do it well. All these groups do it well. But then you have groups like after Ghetto Boys kind of popularized it, and then in the mid-90s when Gravediggers and Flatliners and groups like that came out, then there was another group in Detroit, which is where Eminem's also from, who took a cue from one of their favorite local Detroit artists. I'm talking about the Insane Clown Posse. They are the forerunners of the horrorcore scene, and they still are. They kind of modeled themselves after their idol, Isham the Unholy, who he had a lot of horrorcore elements to his music, but he called his style acid rap. His beats were very unconventional. His lyrics were very, very controversial. The only thing that saved him was that he stayed so far below the radar that, you know, these evangelical groups and stuff couldn't attack him because they didn't know about him. Unfortunately for Insane Clown Posse, they got a little big. They got nationwide attention, worldwide attention, and they kind of got attacked here and there. In fact, now the FBI has labeled their fans as a gang, and I am a fan, so apparently I'm a gang member by default, which makes no sense to me because I've never committed any kind of crime. Unless you count me trying to rap, that might count. But, so, I mean, but you've got other groups that's still going on. Another big name is Necro. Check Necro out. Now, he doesn't call his style horrorcore, although it falls under that umbrella. He coined his own term, death rap. Now, his is more, he takes like death metal lyrics almost, in approach to lyricism, but he's a rapper. Now, he does sometimes work with big time heavy metal people to play instruments for tracks and stuff, but most of the time it's traditional hip hop sounding, you know, dark and gritty beats that he does himself. He's an amazing producer as well. He's worked for a lot of people, including Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang keeps coming up. Raekwon, he's worked for him, done some beats for him. But there are many, many other horrorcore artists from Insane Clown Posse's label alone, Psychopathic Records. I mean, that spawned Twisted, Blaze, You Dead Homie, ABK, Boondocks. You've got Big Hoodoo, all these big names like that. And then, of course, ICP, Twisted, and Blaze are also known as Dark Lotus. And even if you don't like ICP or Twisted, check out Dark Lotus, because that is some dark, dark music. And the lyrics are really, really good on those albums. Yeah, you should definitely check those out. But if you're like I said, if you're interested in horrorcore at all, start with Gravediggers. Their first album, 6 Feet Deep. It's a seminal horrorcore album. Another big artist who's pretty big now, but not known for horrorcore, but his earlier stuff especially had more of it, was Tech Nine. His album Angelic. That's a horrorcore classic right there. You've got other groups like, let's see, 3-6 Mafia, for instance, who have always had horror elements to their music, especially earlier on they did. You've got Brother Lynch Hung, who's just, his stuff is nasty. It's great, but it's brutal. And of course, Isham's side project, Isham, who influenced Insane Clown Posse, his group Natas, Natas, they're definitely more horrorcore. It's Isham and TNT and Mastermind, 3 guys. Their stuff is phenomenal as well. I actually prefer that to Isham's solo stuff, honestly. I like some of Isham's stuff. I think he's great, but the Nodus stuff is better. Let's see. Well, yeah, I mean, that's a brief overview. There are many, many other horrorcore artists, and there's probably a lot of newer ones that I'm not familiar with because I'm old school. I mean, most of the guys I've mentioned have been around since the 90s at least. So, if you are a fan of horrorcore and you have any groups that I haven't mentioned, please feel free to drop some of them in the comments below. I'm always looking for new stuff. I love finding new music, and I love stuff that when I hear it, I'm just like, whoa. I'm not sensitive to lyrics or anything, as you can probably tell if you're familiar with any of the artists I've already named. They're the ones that are pushing the envelope far more than any of these other guys that you see get into controversy and stuff. These guys are way beyond that, but as I said, a lot of them are underground artists. They're not mainstream, so they escape a lot of the attention, the negative attention, for the most part. I mean, here and there you'll hear about it, but they're more able to get away with it than someone, say, signed to a major label. You know, you always see them get attacked and everything for their lyrical content, or their videos are objectionable. With these guys, somehow they slide right through. And oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Society t-shirt. If you're not familiar with Society, you need to see that movie. But that's pretty much it. So let me know what your thoughts on horrorcore are. Are you a fan? Do you hate it? Are there some you like, some you hate? Are there ones that I haven't mentioned that you feel I should have mentioned, or that you think maybe I don't know about that I should know about? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, please like this video, check out my other videos, subscribe to my channel, please. I need, that's how you guys get updated when I post new videos. So, I mean, you'd be doing yourself a favor. If you're at all entertained by anything I'm doing, hit the subscribe button. Also, please share this video and my other videos with friends. If you think they're like-minded and might find anything interesting, go ahead and share that on social media, or show them my videos at work. I don't know. But again, I'm GOREbeast for GOREviews, and thank you for watching. Until next time, I'm out.